So this is my first story ever here, obviously. And it's a very silly story. The summer before my senior year of college, I was stuck working on campus, and my friends were doing all these cool, fun things all over the place. And I was kind of bored and alone. So I was really excited when I made some plans with some friends to visit them in New York City. They were doing some cool stuff there for the summer. And I had never been there before. I grew up here in Maine, went to school in Massachusetts, and just had never had a reason to go to New York City before. So I was super excited. And it was also Pride weekend, so there was a ton of stuff going on, lots to do. And I get there, and I'm immediately very overwhelmed by the tall buildings and all the people. And it's also Pride, so there's like parades and marches and bookstores and clubs and all of these different things to do, and it's very overwhelming. So by the third day I was there, I was pretty tired. So we decided we're going to have a chill day at the Met and to go look at some art and walk around. It's going to be great. The only problem is that I am a very scattered, unprepared, perpetually college student, and the only thing I had to pack was a gigantic, super-duper unergonomic duffel bag that I just threw all my shit into, and it was so heavy that the strap broke on the first day, so I had to carry it around like this or like propped up on my shoulder. My friend that I was staying with was in Washington Heights. My bus was on the opposite corner of Manhattan, and the Met's kind of right in the middle. So I had to take everything with me walking around New York City for the day with my giant duffel bag like this. So I take the train down to Central Park. We have a nice leisurely walk across the park, me with my bag. It's like June, maybe 90 degrees. It's a lot longer walk than you think it is. We get to the Met. There's a really long line and people everywhere, and I have my duffel bag. And we get to the front of the line, and the security guard takes one look at me and says, "You can't bring that inside." In hindsight, I probably should have known that. But I didn't, and so I step out of line and go sit down on the stairs and sulk. And my friends come out of the museum and are like, "What happened?" And I tell them, and they're like, okay, we're going to figure this out. So we're looking around. One of my friends notices that some people are walking into the museum with shopping bags. And somebody had the idea, why don't we go to like a Forever 21, we'll get a bunch of bags. We'll just divide all of your shit up into these like 20 bags or whatever, and then it'll look like we had just gone for like a shopping spree or whatever. And we're like, what could possibly go wrong? Step one, if you've ever been to that part of New York, you know that it's very wealthy. It's like Upper East Side, like Madison Ave. There are no Forever 21s within walking distance. So we're like walking around, we're on our phones trying to find some place that would potentially work. The first department store we come across is a J. Crew Men's. We're 4 women. Apparently J. Crew just the men's department exists in New York City. We kind of just decide we're not going to find anything better than that. So one of us goes inside and comes back with these giant, like, box-like bags, and there's this half-naked dude on it wearing a really nice belt, and we're like, okay, this is going to have to work. So there we are. It's like mid-morning, a nice day in June, hunched over the sidewalk on Madison Avenue. All of the fancy rich people are getting out of brunch and, like, walking their little dogs, and we're, like, on the sidewalk sweating, dividing up my dirty laundry, my wet towel that I had used that morning, a bunch of food that I had because I was scared of spending a lot of money on food in New York City, into these J. Crew Men's bags. And we kind of try to arrange it, make it look maybe convincing, kind of nice, and then we head back to the museum. We get to the front. There's no security guard, so that's kind of awesome. We get inside. I look around, like the marble's really pretty and immaculate and shiny, and immediately turn to my right, and there's a long line of tables and security guards with flashlights going through everybody's bags very meticulously. And so we just kind of look at each other, and we're like, okay, like, we got it this far. What else are we gonna do? So I have my backpack with my duffel bag rolled up inside. Each one of my friends has one of the 3 J. Crew Men's bags with all of my dirty clothes in it. And I put my backpack down on the table. The security guard takes out my duffel bag and just kind of is a little confused for a second, but is like, okay, you'll have to check that at the door. And everything seems to be going fine. And I look over, and my friend, they're all like super nonchalant, like whatever, it's just a regular day, you guys, nothing to see here. And then one of the security guard asks, do you have food in here? Like, obviously you can't bring food into the Met, everybody knows that. And she just very casually says, no, of course not. No, we didn't bring food in here. And literally mid-sentence, a can of tomato soup falls out of the bag and onto the table and rolls away. And we just kind of watch it and look at each other and at the security guard. And she's very visibly confused, but just says, okay, you can't eat that in the museum, but like you can bring it into the cafeteria, I guess. And we're like, okay, like we can do that, and we get inside. Yeah, that's my story.